one of the things that Chris mentioned was hooking the audience, hooking the screeners specifically at film festivals, because that is our main goal. Our main goal is to get this into film festivals at the moment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we are doing to make the film look as pretty as possible, have it stand out, is the color correction that Chris has been working on. Do we want to talk a little bit about how we got to what we got to? And it's constantly evolving. So as we're figuring out what the film is going to look like, we had a basic idea of the color palette. It actually all started way back when Lee and I were color correcting, to some extent, the proof of concept of Lillith, where I took stills from other films, from inspiration films, and I broke them down into a color palette.
Yes.
And I said, do we like this color palette or this one?
I'm trying to remember what we had back then.
We had Jennifer's body, a high school scene.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then, was Stir of Echoes in there? Or was that later on?
That was later on. That wasn't the initial.
Scream a lot. Originally.
Scream was when we went to.
Right, we did go to Scream, but Scream's color palette really didn't end up being what we ended up using.
No.
It's kind of similar to what we have now. It's a little. What we have now is a little warmer.
It's a little
Scream's a very neutral film.
Right.
Scream's a very neutral film, but as far as what we have now, it's I would say it's similar, especially in the outdoor college scenes.
Yeah,
very much.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
we do have it very neutral in those scenes, but we got a little bit more of that pink, which I like so much.
Yeah, exactly. No,
it fits quite well with the themes.
So Chris, go ahead and tell them what you've been working on a little bit.
Yeah,
like
sure.
As
far as the actual color grading, like inspiration and stylistically what we're doing, I was looking at a couple films from the 90s that I think really fit with the look that we were going for. One of them, me and Lee discussed, was Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. The other one was like Ginger Snaps.
Ginger Snaps, Star of Echoes, back when we were initially talking. That's,
For those of you who don't know, the Blackmagic camera that we use, Blackmagic cameras are notoriously
gray.
Yeah, dull. They don't pop in any direction. They're not cold. They're not warm.
They're dead center of the color spectrum.
Right. They're dead center, and also when you're looking at the raw footage, the colors are almost locked away.
It looks washed out.
It's totally washed out. It's totally gray. So it's good and bad in the sense that when you're looking at it in camera, you have to just imagine what it's going to look like color corrected. So that's why we sort of decided.
Well, luckily, certain
early on
cameras. One thing technical note there, real quick. Is that certain cameras, like I don't know, because I know we shot it on the CinemaCam 2.5K, and then also like pickups on the Pockets, the original Pocket Cinema. But I know that, like, for instance, the new like Pocket 4K, you can put preset LUTs.
Oh yeah.
On top, so you can at least
really,
if you're shooting in RAW or you're shooting in like S-Log or whatever.
Really?
You can see what it will look like once it's graded by just putting it over, and that's literally just something in the display, like in the viewer.
Right.
But we did not have that luxury during the filming of Lillith.
Yeah.
So what we did is we sat down and did dailies a couple times, and I think we're all like, oh wow, we can see what this is going to look like once we grade it. Well, let's make sure we continue moving in that direction.
Honestly, the perfect way to sum it up is when we dropped the first teaser, which, like, mind you, that was complete baseline color correction, not final at all, but just the sheer difference between that footage and the initial footage.
Right.
And
now
our producer's reaction to
it,
which was something along the lines of, I doubted you guys, and I'm wrong. I was wrong.
There was a lot of convincing during some of these dailies where I felt like, oh no, the producer has to see this done because he does not believe in me right now.
Right.
Because a lot of it does look gray.
Yes.
A lot of it was underlit just because of what we had and what we were able to do.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a full real lighting kit on most days, which when you see the movie, you can't tell that. Chris is doing an amazing job getting everything looked denoised.
Yeah, it looks
looking bright. It looks really good.
It looks really good, guys.
But
really good.
Our producer came in while we were watching dailies one time. It was like, I don't know about this, and we were like,
no, trust us, it's good.
Great.
Well, even I remember, like, even when we were watching just like the first day, and Robin saw it, she was like, "Is it gonna look like that?" I'm like, "No,
no, not at all." And that's I had to convince these two initially. Chris now knows more than I do about color correction, but I knew at the time that very gray, sort of dull, dark footage was gonna be something beautiful because you can.
Oh yeah,
totally.
I mean, like,
boy, is it beautiful now.
Yeah.
knowing everything that I know now, obviously any kind of like cinematic film look, any like. Not just the Blackmagic, but basically all cinema cameras, unless they're like production cams or whatever used in television. They they are completely washed out, and it's so that you have that malleability of the image, so that you can turn it into whatever you want. All right, hello everybody. So we were talking about color correction and color grading and things like that before. You might be wondering, what is that exactly? So I figured I would clue you guys in, let you guys know what that's all about, show you a little bit about what I do here. I'm thinking that we might go into detail in a future video, maybe even do like a tutorial or something like that if you're interested. Definitely let us know in the comments or reach out to us, message us on Facebook, something like that, if you're into this kind of content. But for now, I'm just throwing that in this video, and let us know what you think. So anyway, this is my little color grading suite here. It's nothing fancy, honestly. I threw it together as cheaply as possible. That behind me, that's a 4K Dell monitor. That's the one that I do all of my color correction on. I have another monitor right there, which I also use, but not for my color correction. The reason I only use one monitor for color correction is that, and color grading, I calibrated it. I use this thing right here, if it's in focus. Yeah, it is. That is the Spider 5 Pro, which is a professional calibration tool. You put it on the monitor, you run the program, and basically you get your monitor calibrated so the colors are as true as possible. You'll also notice that behind me, right here, I have this big blacked out window. That's because you don't want any light being cast on your screen when you're trying to color grade and it's the daytime like it is right now. So the sun is actually out right now, but we need to keep it pretty dark in here. Normally I don't have these lights on, like this one over here. You try to keep it dark so that you can see the colors as true as possible. It's kind of a balance. I try to keep a light, like a dim light in the room, just because I don't want my eyes to fry out from staring at, like a light in the darkness, like a foot away from my face all the time. My eyes are bad enough. So to do my color grading, color correction, I use a program called DaVinci Resolve 15, which, by the way, is totally free, which I think is amazing. It's a fantastic program. I think that if you're just getting into video editing, color correction, even like video effects and things like that, VFX, it's fantastic. So what's the difference between color correction and color grading? Basically, color correction is when you take the image and make it look correct. You make it look like something that you'd see in a like a news broadcast or something. This very clean, correct image. So you want your whites and your highlights. You want them to be white. You want your blacks, your shadows to be black. You want the colors to be true. You want to remove any color cast that might be in the image. So let's say like you're shooting in a room like this and there might be like this orange glow to everything because of the tungsten lights. You want to remove that. So that's basically the purpose of color correction. Now, color grading is where you get more creative. That's where you create the look for your film by adjusting the colors, adjusting the palette the way you like it. Obviously, there's kind of best practices as far as what people recommend, but that's really where you can get creative, and that's where the unique look of a film comes in. So anyway, I've been doing way too much talking, and I want to show you guys exactly what my process is here in DaVinci Resolve and how I go about color correction and color grading for Lillith. Alright, so here we are in DaVinci Resolve 15. I'm just going to run you through my color grading process real quick, just so you get an idea exactly what color grading is and the effect that it has on a film. So right here we have this outdoor scene. We have Charlie over here on the left. We have Jenna on the right. This is an ungraded image. So this is not color corrected. This is just the raw image that was taken from directly from the camera. This was shot on a Blackmagic CinemaCam, the 2.5K, but we shot just in regular old HD 1080p. So this is the ungraded image. I'm just going to click this on real quick. And that is the final color graded image. You can obviously see here, it looks very faded. It has this green tinge to it. Pretty gray, like their skin color. They kind of look like zombies. Not very attractive. And then, boom, like that. Everything has come to life. You can see the trees have color. You have this very nice sunlight coming in. This was shot around magic hour. Obviously, their skin tones actually look like real skin now. They have these nice, warm, lively faces, which is great. So anyway, here's my process. Right here, my first step, this first node, is my noise reduction. Now, if I zoom in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Actually, here, let me do that. You can see there that this is not very noisy. There's not a lot of artifacts. It's pretty clean. Whereas if I turn this off and now look at it, you can see it looks a little grainy. The colors look a little bit off. You can see that here. There's a lot of like digital artifacts everywhere. So yeah, kind of funky looking. But once you turn that on, it smooths everything out, blends the colors. That's basically the number one reason why I would recommend, if you were going to use DaVinci Resolve all the time, it might be worth getting that studio version for the $300 or whatever. It definitely this does come in handy, having this noise reduction, especially for underexposed images. So anyway, I think what I'll do actually is I will turn all these off and then I'll just turn them on one by one so you can see exactly what happens. So then my second step right here, I saturate the image just a little bit. I have it at about 70% here. I just want to bring a little bit of color, but the problem is if you go like this, oversaturate it, it can start looking a little weird. Like he's very bright here. All these colors, it's a little oversaturated. It doesn't necessarily look natural. So we want to keep that at I'd say between like 60, 70, 80, something like that. Then next step, we got white balance right here. That's where we balance the colors of the image. You can see down here we have our scopes, our RGB parade in the bottom right hand corner. We got our reds, our greens, our blues. You want to make sure that these colors are pretty evenly matched. I think there might be like a slight blue cast in the midtones or something like that. Or is that in the shadows? I'm not sure. But I tend to lean, if it's close enough, it's close enough. You don't necessarily have to get it perfectly balanced, but at least not in my opinion. But I think that as long as you get the image away from having this really green, tinge to it, this, horrible color cast, and it's very gray and, washed out. You definitely can push the blacks lower, and you can also bring the whites higher. You don't want them to clip the whites, and you don't want the blacks to be crushed down here. So I like keeping it in the middle. I know it's like a little milky. Some people don't like that look, but I think especially for this kind of organic filmic look that we're going for with Lillith, I think that it works. Next is contrast. You can see it just alters that a little bit so that we get a little bit more detail in the shadows, get a little bit more contrast in the image. This next step, kind of interesting, a little trick that I learned. I use these masks. I mask out the characters. You can see here what exactly I have selected. And what I do is I track them, which is pretty awesome. You can see here. Actually, maybe I don't, but normally you do if they're moving around. I think it's because they were just staying stable. You can actually track them around the image, and it does a pretty good job of auto tracking. And what I do is I actually go to here to blur, and I actually make it a little bit sharper just by like 3 points there. But I think it does help pop them a little bit out from the background, just make them a little bit sharper, draw your eye to these characters. And then lastly, this is where we get crazy. Here's the look. Boom. Okay, there's the look. Obviously, things got a lot redder. I love having this red push. I have a little bit of blues in the mid-tones. You want to make sure that your blacks stay black, and you want all the dark shadows to remain dark. So that's why you see that there. But yeah, it creates this like reddish, pinkish look, which is exactly what we were going for Lillith. We wanted to make sure that we had this kind of old school film look, compare it to things like Twin Peaks, 1992. Also a film later it was either the 90s, early 2000s, Ginger Snaps. That's another film that I've taken some inspiration for the grading. They had this kind of red push throughout the whole thing, and I think that it looks really nice. It looks warm. And gives it this kind of retro, old school vibe. So you can see here, again, this is without any kind of color correction or any kind of color grading. And then this is it with it. I think that it really enhances the image, and this is super, super important, a great skill to know if you are interested in becoming a filmmaker.
Hello, welcome back. So I'm going to be finishing color grading. Hopefully it doesn't take till the end of the month to do that, because again,
I don't think at the pace we're going, I don't think it will.
I don't think so either. And I think that we have until the end of the month.
Yeah.
This is a self-imposed deadline, by the way, just because we think that it's best for like the film festival circuit.
It is. Like the general window for entering films into the circuit is like usually mid-February to like early May.
Yeah.
And our goal is and honestly, the earlier you enter, the better chance you have, because people who are watching and judging aren't burned out by that point.
And also, they haven't filled slots.
Right, they haven't filled slots yet, and so the earlier the better. And so what we figured is if we have it done by the end of this month, then we can get it in at an early enough time that
Exactly, especially because we need an extra 10 days as well, because we need to upconvert our film to a 2K digital cinema package.
which is generally the minimum required
Yes,
for
that is
theatrical
minimum for
screenings.
any kind of theatrical stuff, which is hopefully, we would like to see our stuff on the big screen at festivals. So.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're doing that. As these two said, we're trying to get this done by February 28th.
Yes.
So that way it can go out. We're
Yeah.
going to bring you guys along for the journey, as always.
Pretty much.
Was there anything else that we wanted to discuss
I don't think
before
so.
we close this out? Aside from, if you enjoyed these videos, we have a Patreon.
Like, comment,
Yeah.
subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Go to Vin's channel, Everman Hybrid, and subscribe. And then also go to Chris's channel, Dark Harvest 00, and subscribe. And also subscribe to those Horror Pals. And also, if you like this and all of us, click down somewhere and like, comment, subscribe. We have a Patreon. You're watching this through Patreon.
Or YouTube.
Or YouTube, maybe. Who knows? But if you're watching this, it's because you're already a member of our Patreon. So tell other people about our Patreon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Public service announcements.
I don't have to lead out now.
That's true.
It's true. If you want to use that, you can.
Yeah, and I will just say, I can say what I said before and accept to
Yeah.
this. So yeah, we're trying to get this film done. February 28th is our self-imposed deadline to get them out. We have a lot to do. We're going to keep you guys informed and on the up and up. Lee already gave you all our links and begged for money. Please give us money. And we will continue making stuff like this. We'll continue making stuff like Lillith. We'll continue doing our podcast, which is uploaded on our YouTube now. So if you haven't caught up on season 1, it's actually pretty interesting. I listened to it myself, and it's not just because I love to hear myself talk.